Man, is this video overdue. I should have had this video done so long ago, but I'm so sorry, guys. The car is where it's at. I'm happy with it. We have a nice sunny day, no crazy wind. I think it's time to film this video. But first, we gotta go to the Audi. Because in the Audi, which has a delaminated front tire at the moment and is sad and dirty, I have all of my notes. I wrote all of this down weeks ago to make this video right here. We're gonna walk you guys around the STI Forester. Anyone who's new here, I'm gonna show you everything that we've done. Then I'm gonna sit down with you guys and go through how much it all cost. Anyone who has been here the whole time, you already know. But anyone that is new here, hello. This is my 2001 Subaru Forester L model. We'll go through the exterior real quick. At the moment, the car is on airlift bags, ESR CS12 wheels, which it used to be on Conce Astros that were in silver. But now we're on ESR CS12 wheels because we have some plans with the wheels and I missed having dish wheels. We have Aero Spec rear spats that are rare and hard to find apparently. They're a Japanese only item. We have 2002 to 2007 GD side spats. We also have a 1998 Subaru Outback bumper with a 2006 STI fiberglass front splitter that comes on a VIS bumper that I had to modify to fit this. And no, you cannot buy this splitter separately. If you want this splitter, you have to buy the $1,000 bumper and cut up the splitter to get it to fit. I had this on my old Hawkeye STI and I kept it around because I just liked it, and then I figured out I could get it to fit because it was the same width, so that's what we did. We also have clear side markers. We have a paint matched front emblem. We have a diamond stitch hood bra, a bug eye hood scoop because the Bug Eyes and the SF5 XTs in Japan actually share the same hood scoop from factory. So this is the exact same hood scoop that would come on one of these in Japan boosted, but we didn't get them in the States boosted, which is why I boosted this one. We've got yellow fog lights. These are the OEM fog lights. We have a custom front license plate Gronda because the car's named Gronda. Anyone that's new here, the car is named Gronda because it originally started as a build redoing my first Forester, which was red. And it was like a tribute build, and that car was named Ronda. We named this one Gronda, as you could probably imagine, green Ronda. So that's why it's named Gronda. Back here on the top, we have a custom STI style hatch wing. This I got off of eBay for some Russian company. With everything going on in the world, I'm not sure you can grab this anymore. This was an eBay item. That was fiberglass that I had painted. I also have an NVIDIA catback exhaust, which is kind of exterior because you can see the muffler tip, which I want to get the whole exhaust remade to tug up higher because I scrape so bad. Insert video here of me being an idiot on the streets of me trying to throw sparks because I think it's fun. We also have a slightly matched green banner that doesn't match whatsoever. Drilled and slotted front rotors with ceramic pads. The rears are drums, so it's just fronts. Some stickers here and there that I'm sure you saw as we walked around. And other than that, I think that's it on the exterior. Coming into the interior now. The interior is actually pretty stock. We've got a triple gauge pod on the A-pillar. Now this runs my gauges. We'll switch everything on for you here. As you can see, the camera shutter speed's weird with the LEDs. This top gauge runs the air tank pressure for the bags. The middle gauge runs the front pressure for the front bags. The rear gauge runs, or the bottom gauge runs the rear pressure for the rear bags. I'll show you. We have this first switch here. These run the bags. First switch is front, watch. So I can watch my PSI in the front, it lifts up. Second switch on the right is the rear bags. And as you can see, as I lift up my tank pressure, drops. So that's how those work, those triple gauge pods on the A-pillar. We also have a triple gauge pod in the center of the dash. This has my boost pressure. The middle one has my oil temp. And the one all the way to the right is the battery voltage. And those of you who have Foresters know there's a compartment here. And yes, the compartment's still usable. There's just wires and hoses in there for all the gauges. Since we're on the topic of gauges, we have the Cobb V3 access port right here to monitor some other stuff with the car and to be on a base tune. But this access port is now useless. If you guys know what's going on with all the Cobb stuff right now, look up Cobb green speed and you'll find all that out. This is literally like a $700 boost gauge if I want it to be now. It's stupid. I have a Pioneer head unit which will tie in with the trunk setup we have in the back. We have a custom steering wheel that I got for a gift for Christmas, a Fatal Flaw horn button, a the Shorty Koyostar hub with a Workspell tilt-up hub. Obviously, the wheels are a little bit turned, which is why it's not perfectly straight, but yeah, this tilt-up hub. As you saw over here, we have 2 green switches. This first switch turns on and off the gauges. The second switch works the coolant fans because for some reason, whatever reason, the fans did not want to work with the new wiring harness in the car, so we have them wired to a switch on ignition through a relayed system with a fuse. We also have these custom garage moon power floor mats that kind of ties all the white stuff in together. This used to be in my RB25 swapped S14, but I sold that car and kept these floor mats. Also have these authentic JDM AC cup holder vent holders for drinks that I really don't ever use, and they kind of don't sit right, but it's nice aesthetic. A Norobori flag from Fatal Flaw hanging on the roof line. And other than that, up here, we have like the stock seats and stuff, and that's about it up here. Now to the trunk. Here is the trunk setup. So in the floor, we have a 12-inch sub that obviously is part of the sound system. Right in front of that, we have my 444cc compressor that fills up the air tank. And right behind that, we have my 5-gallon air tank and my amp for the sub hanging out there. I did it this way because I thought it was very minimalistic, very simplistic, and I really love the way this trunk setup looks. Now to the part that everyone's waiting for is the drivetrain setup. So right here, we have an STI engine. Anyone that followed all the videos knows how much of a pain in my was to get this car swapped and how much money I spent and got scammed out of thousands of dollars. It's a whole story. But right here, we have what's combined of a 2008 STI, 2007 STI, and 2006 Legacy GT engine all put together. If you don't know, the STIs and the Legacy GTs actually share a lot of components. And STIs have been the exact same engine all the way up to 2021. I mean, the STI intercooler on this is from a 2012, and the fuel pump in the car is an STI 2012 fuel pump as well. I mean, it's all the same STIs. But here we go. The block is from a 2006 Legacy GT with fully built stage 1 forged 2007 STI Manly pistons and rods. Now we went with Legacy GT heads as well because the Legacy GT heads are actually the best flowing heads from factory from Subaru. The STI heads don't flow as well as the Legacy GT heads. So we have Legacy GT heads, again, fully built, all stainless steel valves, all stainless steel springs, retainers. We did go with single AVCS STI cams. And then we also have ARP head studs, MLS head gaskets. The whole long block of this motor is completely forged and built. Next, we have all the accessories like the STI intake manifold, the AC compressor, and all that stuff is all from a 2008 STI. The intercooler, like I said, is from a 2012 STI. We have an HKS blowout valve, a 2008 STI wiring harness. That's the engine harness, and that connects to a 2008 STI / 2001 Forester bulk harness that I wire in California, spliced together for me, so the car works with all the factory plugs, but it runs off of a 2008 STI engine harness, which also runs off of a 06 to 07 STI ECU, which I know that's a total mouthful and really hard to comprehend that it's like 3 different years of STIs all combined together wiring wise and motor wise, and I know it's crazy, but just bear with me. We're gonna keep going. Cold air intake, which is off of a 2002 to 2007 WRX or STI. This is my power steering reservoir. This is my dual radium catch can setup. I know there's only a single catch can routed right now. Found a way to do that, which is a lot easier. This motor also has 1-step Kohler spark plugs, TGV deletes, air pump deletes. I probably should not be saying this on camera because that's... A lot of people come up to me and are confused when they see this, how it says 2008 STI. Yeah, so the front timing cover is from a 2008 STI, which was the first motor I had originally bought to swap this car, which I ended up getting scammed like $2,000 out of because it was totally blown up when I was told it was just head gaskets, and then I only got like $900 back, and I spent like $3,000 on the freaking motor. So we reuse as much parts as we can, is what you probably realize is what all of this is, all the accessories is from. So yeah, it's actually not an 08 STI core. It's confusing. But we stayed with the stock Forester radiator, stock Forester fans, overflow Tomei adjustable fuel pressure regulator. We have a Mac valve boost controller. One of the coolest parts of this build is the turbo, which I will show you back there. You can kind of see it. It's actually paint matched green to Granda. That is a 2008 STI turbo, which is a VF48 IHI turbo, and that turbo has been completely rebuilt, ported and polished 10 millimeters bigger with all Garrett parts. So this car spools so fast, spools like crazy, makes awesome boost really fast, It's like a Garrett stock placement turbo. I love it. You can also see in the engine bay some of our airlines that we have ran. All the airlines in this car for the bag system is all ran in the engine bay and into the interior. None of it's ran outside because it gets really cold here in the winter in Utah. I have these GC chassis hood struts, which are a nice addition. As you can see, we also cut the tubs so we can get as low as we possibly can on the bags. And then as for the transmission setup, and the rest of the drivetrain setup, we are stock Forester rear diff and drive shaft and transmission. This car was a manual car from factory. So we have the stock manual 5-speed transmission in here from the Forester, which has the same internals as a WRX, just geared differently because these cars have towing capacity. So it's geared a little shorter to be able to tow and for off-road because these cars come factory with lift kits on them. So we're stock 5-speed. But we did blast plates, which I'll throw a picture here. What blast plates do is it's basically a strut tower bar, like for your engine bay, but for your transmission. It helps the transmission from flexing because the Subaru transmissions are split down the middle long ways. So having that plate through on the sides that have bolts through the middle on all 4 sides, it helps it to flex. And when they flex, the tolerance in the gears, it gets ruined, and that's what blows up WRX transmission is because they flex under torque. So that helps torque flex, which helps safer power up top. A lot of people complain like, oh, it's not a real STI swap because it's got a 5-speed transmission. My argument for that is I want an STI ECU, STI wiring harness, STI engine, yet just because it's a 5-speed, it's not an STI. Okay, so then if you 5-speed or if you dog box swap an STI, is it not an STI then? Tell me how that makes sense. I don't claim this car to be a full STI drivetrain swap. It is just an STI engine swap. That's what it is. Complain all you want. That about covers everything. Let's sit down and go through how much this build cost me. And we're going to break it down to how much it would cost you to just swap the car to get it running as an STI and not everything else. And then we'll add in how much everything else costs on top and how much I'm totally into this car. Let's get down to this. So that first STI engine I bought, that was a 2008 STI engine that I got scammed out of, was $2,800. I got $950 as a refund because they scammed me, which was not enough. And so I lost quite a bit of money off of that. But like I said, we used the accessories like the manifold, the alternator, AC compressor, power steering pump, that kind of stuff. And we also used the engine harness off of that. The second engine I bought was the Legacy GT long block that needed a rebuild. Was $400 used locally. The forged build, Manley pistons and rods, fully stainless heads, ARP heads, that's MLS head gaskets, STI cams. Full forged build was $3,300. All right, I'm gonna try to put this on the screen as I'm doing this. Wiring harness this is when I purchased the 2008 STI bulk harness and all the wiring harness parts to get the car completely swapped, $215. The fuel pump control module, because you have to buy an STI fuel pump control module for the swap, was $50. ECU, ignition, and immobilizer were $200. Now, if you're going to do this, either go 04 STI or older if you're going to do the swap, because these newer cars, newer STIs from I think 05 plus have what's called an immobilizer. You have a little box, it's like your security box. Then you have a key like this that has a chip in it, and the immobilizer has a chip in it, and the ECU has a chip in it. And if all of those 3 things are not from the exact same car won't start. Which if you watched the videos, you would have known that we had issues getting this car started because it wasn't getting spark. The immobilizer crap is which is why I have Forester key to unlock the car, STI key to start the car. Anyways, make sure you do that if you're going to do that, or go 04 STI or older. Next, cold air intake, $150. I originally bought the wrong intake, so I lost some money there, but we're going to keep going. Cold air intake, which is a Perrin, $150. Turbo inlet, we have the silicone turbo inlet, forgot to mention that. That was $65. The pitch stop mount, billet pitch stop mount, was $45. That's on the top of the engine. I didn't show you guys that. You can't even see that, but it's underneath there. There's a billet pitch stop mount for the engine mounts. And I also didn't show you guys the turbo inlet, which is that right there. The stock plastic ones tend to crack and boost leak, so I obviously replaced that while the car's apart. Next, we replaced the throwout bearing. We're using the stock Forester throwout bearing because we're using the stock Forester trans. Throwout bearing was $60. The hood scoop was $100 plus paint. We'll go into what paint costs later. You have to have a hood scoop for this kind of swap because these don't come with hood scoops, and you need the intercooler to breathe. Gas pedal. I didn't show you guys that because we went from drive-by cable to drive-by wire. We had to switch out for a electric throttle-driven gas pedal from an 08 STI because that's the wiring harness that we used. And I'll show you guys that in there real quick. But that was $95 for the gas pedal. And I'll show you in here. Forester clutch pedal, Forester brake pedal, 08 STI gas pedal with a I-wire relocation bracket to get that to fit on there as it does. Sorry, I'm realizing things that I forgot to show you guys as I walk you through this. Let's see, so the wiring, labor from I-wire and everything to get all of the ECU, bulk harnesses, engine harness all spliced together was $1,300. Shout out to I-wire for doing that for me. I paid an extra $200 to get it rushed, done in a week. Whereas if you don't pay the $200, it's 4 to 6 weeks. So $200 I think is worth to get it done in a week, and it was amazingly done. Power steering stuff, to get the power steering to work with the reservoir and stuff, was $40. The magnetic drain plug that I had to get was $30. Oh, we forgot to mention that the car's got aluminum race bearings in it as well on the bottom end, and the forged nitrate crankshaft. So that's cool. And obviously you're gonna say, well, if you're on aluminum race bearings, why'd you get a magnetic drain plug? Because aluminum isn't magnetic. The reason I did that is because during break-in from decking the block and everything, there's gonna be metal shavings left over in there that is magnetic. So during break-in, we're running the magnetic drain plug just to catch anything that's been left in the motor from building it. So that's why we're running the drain plug. V3 access port, I paid $480 for. It's now useless. Let's keep going. The full exhaust. The downpipe is from an O2, it's for an O2 WX catless downpipe. That was like $120, and I paid like $75 for the rest of the exhaust. I have written down here $240 for the full exhaust system. Good deal, right? The catback is from an 04 XT, Forester XT. The turbo was, the build on the turbo, $700. The clutch, which, oh, I didn't tell you guys the clutch setup. That is a stage 2 street clutch with the aluminum lightweight flywheel. $180. That's an XTD clutch from eBay. I did my research. All the research said as long as you break in the clutch for 500 miles, it's perfect. I'm at like 960 miles now on break-in, and that clutch has done amazing from day one. O'Reilly's. How much money do you guys think I spent at O'Reilly's on random crap building this car? Because I spent a lot of money there. I have written down here about $700 in O'Reilly's, and that happened in like 3 weeks when I was trying to get the car running. It's about $700 at O'Reilly's. Now, blast plates, the blast plates on the transmission, like I was telling you guys about, those are $250. The intercooler, fuel pump, TGV deletes, and catch cans, I bought that all from a buddy locally. He gave that all to me in a bundle for $350. I had to buy a new battery because the old battery was bad and crusty, $130. This is how much it was to just get the car running safely with everything that it needed to run as an STI. You ready for it? To get this car running as an STI, not all the rest of the stuff I have on the car, without including buying the car, was $11,700. Yeah, trust me, that hurt when I saw that total after adding that up. It's a lot of money to be into a Forester, and we're not done yet. Right, now add-ons. This is everything besides the swap. Bags, $1,500. Wheels and tires, $1,900. Subtract a couple $100 off of that because that's for the Conseis. And now we're on these ESRs. The kid gave me some money on top and stuff. Still brand new tires, but we'll say roughly, yeah, $1,900 because I have this all already totaled out. The gauges on the center of the dash, like I shown, that was $215. I think the bags stuff, I added in the A-pillar gauges and stuff that ran all of that and all the management. The $1,500 for the bags is all of that added in. The lip kit, which is the front splitter, the side spats, the rear spats on the bumper, and paint. So this is not with paint. Just the lip kit was $305 because I had the side spats, the front splitter already sitting around. But yeah, those rear spats were just over 300 bucks to import from Japan. The wing was $250 without paint. The shift knob, $18. Extra switches to get the fans and the gauges wired, $8. I already had the sub. Shout out my boy Zach. He's got a beautiful gray R32 GTR. He gave me that silver sub that's in there because he didn't know if it worked or not. Luckily it did. And my homeboy Zach, I love you for that because it tied together the trunk setup so good. Paint. I spent about 200 bucks in paint to get everything painted. The paint for the front bumper and the lip kit is actually just primer black because it matches so well with the side plastics. Then I had to send the hood scoop and the wing to get painted professionally because I didn't trust myself. So yeah, the paint for the side skirts itself was cheap as and the hood scoop and the wing were the professionally painted stuff. That first intake that I lost money on and couldn't sell because I cut it up was $130. The reason that didn't work was because the mass airflow sensor was different, and I assumed that they put the 2008 mass airflow sensor plug on it because I figured it was off the engine harness, and it was not. It's off of the body harness and ECU, which is from a 2000 it's from an 02 to 07 MAF, so I bought the wrong intake and had to cut it up so I couldn't return it. 130 bucks lost there. Run the second ECU on this car. The first ECU I bought, I didn't have the immobilizer and keys with, so it didn't work, which is why the car wouldn't start. So I had to buy the second ECU with the immobilizer and keys all as a bundle. So I lost $110 on the first ECU that I purchased. With all of that in total, without buying the car, just in mods on this car, I am about $16,536. Wow. Okay, I'm just gonna keep going because that hurts. When I bought the car for about 3,600 bucks, I believe. We did a cost breakdown when I did the Ronda redo series with Gronda, and I was $6,250 into the car at that point already. So that brings the total to $22,386 into a Forester. But I sold some parts like the old wheels and other stuff like that, so we're about $21,400 in this car actually. So yeah, roughly about $21,400 into a Forester, which is a lot. So we've got to start up real quick and show you guys how all of this works though, because I'm not gonna tease you guys like that and then not show you. I put the list there. So we have Forester key, unlock the car right there. STI key, STI ignition, key on. Make sure it's in neutral. Always turn on my gauges. The car's already warmed up. If it was a cold start, I would not turn the fans, but because the car's already warmed up, turn on the fans. Hear them kick on. Make sure I'm in neutral. Clutch in. Car starts and runs very well. Then I'll show you guys how to air it up. Watch the bottom two gauges. I go to about 80 PSI on the rear one. Front, I go just over 80 PSI. The way that the bags are set up is the front two are teed together into one. The rear two are teed together into one line because we have the manual management. Yes, that's how manual management worked. You know, 80 PSI is actually 40 in each. It's 80 total, so you have to half it, which is why we're at around 80 PSI in all of this. I'll show you guys ride height real quick. Ride height is not my favorite, only because the exhaust hangs so low on this thing. Yeah, that it's hard to drive it low, which is why I hug Sparks. So there you go. That is how much it cost me to build the Forester. Everyone, thank you for watching. I know this video was long overdue, but I appreciate you guys watching this video. STI series is done. And that does not mean I'm not gonna be making videos about this car. I'm not gonna drag on the STI series because that's done now. It's an STI now. So now we're gonna keep modding the car and do more stuff to it. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.